Hey, Scott Jordan here for Jancast number 201 for Thursday, November 6, 2025. And let's start off by first thanking everybody for the great response we got to Jancast number 200 after almost 20 plus years of doing the show. Mark and I were able to kind of recap things. And if you haven't watched show number 200, definitely go ahead and check it out. You know, back in the day in 2004, 2005, we started Jancast with the hope of just kind of getting some information out there. And next thing you know, 20 years later, we're still doing it. You know, back in the day, we covered the introduction of green products. We reported from the InterClean show in Amsterdam, as well as the ISSA show. We interviewed people that were running for office back when there was competitive situations where you had multiple people running for particular board positions. That's changed a lot nowadays. We also developed during the pandemic germwashing.com because if you recall back then, people were making crazy claims. We got United Airlines and Southwest to take down claims that they had a product that had a 30-day residual efficacy on the fabrics of their airplane seats, which is ridiculous because there was no protocol actually for killing anything other than odor-causing bacteria on fabric or soft surfaces at the time. But, you know, we were able to call that out and had some fun with it. There was a post that we put up, if you go to germwashing.com, it's one about using bread as a face mask. Remember when we had to wear face masks and all that? Yeah, so for those of you that have been guests on Jancast over the last 2 years, please stop by our booth next week at the ISSA, booth number 5216, and say hello. I'd like to get some pictures with everybody. And then if you're just a fan, that's even better. Stop by and tell us how you like the show, how you'd like to kind of expand upon it, and you know what we can do better, what co-hosts we can have on, all that. So stop by. And the way to know if it's Scott Jordan is I'll be wearing one of these bow ties, which I was gifted by my dad, over 100 of them, and they're a different bow tie than normal. You can see they're thin. So there might be other people at the show with a bow tie on, but I don't think there's anybody else that has these custom-made ones that were made by my sister and my mother back in the day. And there's a whole story about that. So we're in the final stages of planning for the show in Las Vegas, and I've enlisted my AI co-host to kind of give a review of the changes in the industry with the mergers and acquisitions, everything else that's going on, the show that's been in Vegas for 3 years in a row. What effect is that having, if anything? And then there's the F1 race. Let's not forget about that. So if you are going to be at the show again, 5216, we're in the very front by the main entrance with all the big equipment people and all those guys. So we're pretty easy to find. It won't take you more than a minute or two after you go through the entrance to be at the Bullen booth. So please come by. And again, here's my AI co-host who's going to talk about the industry changes. And thanks again, and stay tuned for future shows.
Hey, welcome to our explainer. If you've been to the big ISSA show recently, you've probably felt it, right? Something's different. Today, we're going to dig into the massive wave of mergers and acquisitions that's completely rewriting the playbook for exhibitors and attendees alike. I mean, it really is the question on everyone's mind. You walk the aisles, you see the booths, but the whole vibe, the conversations, the energy of the event, it has totally shifted. And let me tell you, it's not just you. This is a fundamental change happening right under our feet. The first clue is actually the location itself. For years and years, ISSA rotated between all the major hubs, but now it's settled into Vegas for the third straight year. And look, that might seem like a simple logistical choice, but it's actually a symptom of a much, much larger story that's unfolding. So what is that bigger story? Well, the real driver behind this entire shakeup can be summed up in just 3 letters: M&A. Yep, mergers and acquisitions. You can think of it like an earthquake. The M&A deals are the main event, and everything else we're seeing at the show, well, those are just the aftershocks. And really, the most profound change at the show isn't some flashy new cleaning robot or a breakthrough chemical. It's something you notice on the badges and the booths. There are just fewer independent distributor logos, and the ones that are left are getting a whole lot bigger. To really get a sense of the scale we're talking about, just look at this number: $10 billion. That's roughly the value of the combined Brady Plus and Imperial Dade entity. A single deal like that creates a national powerhouse that literally changes everything, from who walks into your booth to the kinds of products being talked about in every meeting.
So this all points to one key concept: industry consolidation. It's just what it sounds like. It's the trend of smaller players being acquired, which leads to fewer but much, much larger companies. And these new giants are all chasing scale and efficiency. And that pressure is what's resetting the entire game at ISA.
And this brings us to the first major ripple effect. Because of all this consolidation, the actual people you're meeting in the aisles have fundamentally changed. And yeah, this slide lays it out perfectly. In the past, your meetings were probably with local branch buyers or maybe the owners of independent distributorships. But now, you're far more likely to be sitting across from corporate category managers and centralized sourcing teams, people who are making decisions for a massive national footprint.
So naturally, when the people in the room change, the conversation changes right along with them. The focus is shifted dramatically from talking about individual products to talking about high-level, company-wide strategy.
Just look at the contrast here. The old agenda of haggling over every single SKU and striking these little one-off deals, that's pretty much gone. Today's meetings are these high-stakes sessions about negotiating national contracts, making sure the supply chain is secure, and getting really complex data systems like EDI to sync up perfectly. And these are the topics that are driving every single discussion now. The new giants want margin control, so things like private label and exclusives are in super high demand. They absolutely need to know you can supply their entire network, and they need your data to integrate seamlessly right into their systems.
Okay, so if you're an exhibitor, what does all this mean for you? Well, this new landscape demands a totally new playbook. The question is, how do you not just survive, but actually win in this new consolidated environment?
It pretty much boils down to three key things. First, pitch the big national story that these enterprise buyers need to hear, but come ready with a local launch kit to help their individual branches actually execute on it. Second, data is completely non-negotiable. You've got to have all your digital assets ready. And third, be proactive. Don't wait to be asked. Come to the table with turnkey, private label, and exclusivity options ready to go. But this isn't just about the exhibitors. What about the distributors themselves? I mean, whether you're part of a massive consolidator or a nimble independent, you absolutely need a clear strategy to win in this new world. This slide shows the two very distinct paths to victory. For the big consolidators, the game is all about internal efficiency, harmonizing product lines, and standardizing all that supplier data. But for independents, the winning formula is differentiation. You win with speed, with deep expertise in specialty categories, and by doubling down on the local relationships that the giants just can't replicate.
So, to wrap it all up, here are the crucial takeaways. Plan for fewer but much more significant meetings. Understand that conversations about data and private label are no longer optional. They are absolutely central. Recognize that the Vegas venue is a strategic choice that favors efficiency. And most importantly, you have to know that the old playbook is obsolete. You've got to adapt your strategy if you want to win.
Which leaves us with this final forward-looking question. As M&A continues to forge this industry of giants, what does success, what does good truly look like in the years to come? Now that's the big question to consider as you walk the floor. Thanks for tuning in.